Hey, good morning, guys. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor. This is Breaking Through Addiction with my co-host, Jennifer Lovely. As usual, I want to say hi, guys, to all the people listening on Facebook and YouTube Live. You lucky people, you, and all the people around the world on the platforms later. It's good to be here, guys.
Good to be here.
What a fantastic show we're just going to have now. How are we doing, Jen?
We're doing good. Doing really good. Ready to get into the day, get into the world, changing people's lives, having the conversations that need to have so that we can be the change in the world. If you want to change the world, it starts with yourself.
Yep, starts with yourself. And don't forget, guys, we said before in the last show that you need keep watching the show, guys. We're taking it to the next level. And we can't say what that is right now, but we are going to be changing the world, and we're going to become one of the biggest addiction shows in the world. And it will be syndicated, and it'll be going out there along with Stern, that guy. We're going to be the addiction people. Exactly, yeah. We're going to be up there. We're not taking. Me and Jen either do it or we don't. We're not messing around. We tried to have a month or two to get our flow together, and the flow is amazing together. So the next level is all the way, because you know me, guys. There's no half messing with me.
My favorite thing is that Janet J Bear, who is your wife, I start texting her, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And she's like, she just is so cool. She just flows with it. And she's like, has just gotten used to being with two addicted brains.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so when you have a brain, it's like, it's up, it's down, it's sideways, it's all over.
And one of the reasons why she does my stuff is because I couldn't find a personal assistant. So, guys, if you're in San Antonio and you think you can do the job, please contact me, because Jay Bear's doing it all right now. I mean, she's not even in the office yet. She's doing 100 things that I give her, and then 100 things that Jen flies at her, and then we've got all the staff calling her, and she's still walking in now with coffee. I mean, she's just such an amazing person. We're so glad we have her. You know, we really do. And then Johnny met her, our guest. John Egan's on the show, guys, by the way, coming up. You don't want to miss this one. Believe me, you don't want to miss this one. Yeah, this guy is a phenomenal guy. The first time we spoke, I don't know when it was, but there was something about him that clicked with me. And we just shared a story before, which was awesome. And that was the reason we clicked, because we both have them backgrounds, just like you, Jen. We both have them backgrounds that need to be brought out into the light. And John did exactly that. But before we bring them on, guys, let me tell you about Living Recovery Interventions. Recovery begins today. Recovery begins together. Give the gift of recovery. Now, Travis, we know, is a great friend of ours. He's a great intervention. We're talking about a guy that's gone from Xanax seizures to a crash at 120 miles an hour, and he still survived. If a loved one is in trouble, call Travis. He's our go-to guy. 801-573-4188. Or you can contact him, his website, livingrecoveryinterventions.com. Remember, guys, recovery begins today. Recovery begins together. Call Travis, 801-573-4188. Such an amazing guy.
Amazing. Love Travis. He's so much fun.
He is. He's great. Okay, so are we ready for Johnny?
We are ready. Let's bring Johnny in.
Okay, guys, we're back after this quick break. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with my co-host Jennifer Lovely. We have John Egan on the show. I don't think you can hear us. Johnny, can you hear us?
No.
You got technical issues. Oh my God, of all times we have technical issues. Let me see what I can do there, John. Let me see what I can do. Okay, it's gone off for a bit. I've dropped him off so he can drop back on again. With communication problems, obviously. The guys that are watching, stick around, guys. This is going to be good. John Egan's a good friend of ours. I actually met him last month, or this month, I can't remember, when we went it out. They paid us to go over there to visit their place. And Johnny, oh my God, he took care of us real well. Hotel was amazing. Food was amazing. And the treatment center he works at was amazing. So
yeah, this was in Miami, right?
I went down to Miami and met Johnny and the crew, and, you know, were treated really well. And I mean, we get, and if we just get like at least 1 to 2 a month that says, come on over, we'll pay for everything, come on. And we say, thanks, but no thanks.
No.
When we saw Johnny, then we went straight away. Johnny, you back with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can, yeah.
I can't hear anything you're saying.
Okay. All right. Well,
You take the earbuds.
Yeah, try taking the earbuds out and just go, maybe. And now your voice is gone now. Oh, hey, the joys of going live on Facebook and YouTube, guys. So we're just going to let Johnny try and figure it out and see what happens. So yeah, they treat us really, really well, Jen, and then probably one of the they will be one of the treatment centers we use, because we use very few, of course, because of what we do.
Can't hear you.
No, nothing there right now. Guys, if you want to be a guest on the show, text me quick. Oh, hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. Let's see what we can do. Hang on. There you go, Johnny. Can you hear us?
Oh, we're in?
Yeah,
you're in. That was good. Thank God for that. I was just God just testing us, like, see what our nerves are like. See how good me and Jim are going to the top. Let's see how good you are when we just drop you in it. Oh, we did pretty good. Welcome, Johnny. Good to see you, my man.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Dr. Rob.
Yeah, so stoked to have you on. So I want to just drop into your story. One of the things that I guess where I want to start is one of the things you talked about early was your ego. And you said, if a person doesn't have this kind of story, then, it's hard. It was hard initially for you to connect with them. And it is something that I hear all the time. And that's actually one of the things that my kids talk about all the time. If they don't have some crazy story that I did, then it's hard to connect. So can we just talk about what that's about?
Yeah. I mean, so growing up, I was very disciplined in my education. I did very, very well in school. College actually paid for me to go there. However, so I always was able to maintain the drinking. And then I guess at the age of 21, I was introduced I had tried cocaine in high school, but something happened after college and it just became this daily habit. And then when I went to rehab and I saw these other guys would, talk about shooting needles in their neck and smoking crack. And I'm like, nah, sorry, you got the wrong cat. That's not me. But only to find out that my disease progressed into that later. And then when I went to treatment, I would look at the people that snort pills or snort cocaine. I'm like, you don't even belong here. And so it's really funny. You see the alcoholic going through withdrawal and they're the ones that can die. And they're judged by the heroin addicts who can't die by withdrawal. And they're sitting, they're looking at each other, you're in here for alcohol. And they're looking at them, you do heroin. And there's just this major disconnect. And pain is relative. It's, whatever your maximum capacity is pain is, that's enough to make you say, I want to make a change. But yeah, I was either always worse or better than, which is the constant state of the ego. I was never in line with anyone. Never.
Always the same. Never. Yeah. So there's a lot of stigma around addiction and alcoholism and the behavior that comes with that kind of torment. I know you said you went there and you didn't fit in. So with all the stigma and all the not fitting in and all the I never do that, when was the day when you realized, oh my God, look what I've done? I'm one of those guys.
There's a couple of them. I think my 5th rehab, and God bless my folks for never giving up on me, but they sent me out to Phoenix, Arizona, and I went out there and I really did have the most intention to get better. I had no idea it had something other than not drink and not using. And so I went there and I started to hang out with the quote unquote cool kids, and the cool kids are the ones that sit in the corner and make fun of everyone else. Oh, look at Jennifer. Did you hear what she did? And look at Dr. Rob over there. Look at the shoes he's wearing. He'll never make, just sit there and basically just judgment. And so me and this one cool kid, we decided to save up our money, and we were just going to go we're going to take the bus into this, we were in Tempe and we were going to go into Phoenix, and we both were crackheads, and we were both going to get ours and then just do what we've always done and come back and say, hey, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. And I don't know what happened, but we went down there and he got high, I got high, he bugged out. So I was like, I don't want to get high with this person. And then I just found myself there, and I had a little bit of drugs, and what was going to be one day turned into 5.5 months. And I quickly learned, like, I'm a prep school kid from Philadelphia. I didn't know, I lied. I'm a prep school kid from the suburbs of Philadelphia. Let's get that straight, right?
Yeah.
So the only thing I ever knew about city life was anything I'd ever read in a book or saw in a movie. And so I started to do those behaviors and emulate it. So I got a cardboard sign and I said my wallet's stolen, and actually had weight on. So I actually looked like it was a true story, and I made a lot of money doing that, and just begging. And then, I'd steal and boost from stores. And then one day, I don't know how many days in, but there was a lady of the night walking by, and she says, hey, you can make money the old fashioned way. And I was like, I don't do that, but I had to get high. And so I started to compromise, and she offered me to compromise my sexual values for women in Scottsdale, Arizona, right, as an escort. And so I started to live that lifestyle. And it's if you've ever worked in the sex industry, it's like you do this act and it causes all this shame, so you got to get high to forget about what you just did. And that spiraled down into I'll just say $10 is $10 no matter what pocket it comes from. And so it was one of those, I was living a life that I never thought, but the other thing is I was never going to talk about it. It was my secret, right? And so I manipulated my folks. I came to and I asked for help, and I was sober, air quotes, which means I passed all the drug tests at the sober home, and they flew me back, and I was never going to talk about it. And my father, God rest his soul, he's like, you are one of the smartest people I've ever known. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to give you one more shot. And he gave me a job at his company, and I was making 6 figures. With not a lick of knowing how to stay sober, and I got paid once, and I was off and running again. And so my best decision was, because I was never going to tell anyone the truth, was just to kill myself. And so August 15th of 2007, I made that decision, and August 16th, I came to at Chester County Memorial Hospital in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and I was so angry that it didn't work. But that was the day that I did not use mind-altering substances again. That's where the journey started.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that story. I can hear in moments that it's still hard to talk about it.
It's hard. Okay, so here are the facts. The only facts I know in life right now is God has a plan for me. And I found out that my darkest, most sordid, painful moments have been the beacon of hope for someone along the way. Because when they sent me to the psych ward where they took my shoelaces, and then they said, hey, we think you need treatment. And I was so arrogant. I said, I've already been to treatment. Treatment doesn't work. I want to go home. And just to put into perspective, I was a 30-year-old boy trying to go home to mommy's house, right? But I want to go home. It wasn't my home. It was my mom's house. And Al-Anon saved the day. I was not welcome home. And so I went to a place called Meermont in Lima, Pennsylvania. And in my head, I was literally just planning my next suicide. Like, I just messed that last one up, and I was just thinking about how to do it better. And there's a thing called H&I. It's hospitals and institutions where people bring in a message into a residential program. And here I was, it was my first day there, and there was this cat that came up, and he was, I think, 11 or 12 years sober, and he told my story. He told how he compromised his sexual values, and he was sitting there laughing and having a good time, and he had he was an entertainer, but it looked like he carried no shame about it. And it was at that moment I heard, like, inside my head, like, me too, right? And so for him to sit there up and tell his story with confidence and no shame gave me the hope that one day I could. And that is when my journey began. And so it's amazing that I'm now in a position to be, I don't even know his name. He saved my life. I don't know his name. But he literally saved my life.
You are today. You're that guy. who's saving people's lives today. And I love that about you. I remember once when I was in a psych ward, and I was in there for a 3-day hold. And here was my plan. And Johnny, it made so much sense. And I want to ask you a question after this. My deal was to get out and get a little bit of money, go straight to the hardware store, the big superstore, to grab one of them box knives, to go to the front where everyone was going to pay, and just to slit my throat. And it made so much sense, you know? And when the day came to, and I've been planning this and I've been thinking about it, and I thought, yeah, it sounds great. I'm going to do that. It sounds amazing. So when they come to discharge me, they give you 20 pounds, and they say, we're going to transport you to the halfway house. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'll go on the bus. And there was a therapist there who kept looking at me, and he goes, no, there's something about you, Rob. I don't know too much. So they transported me, the bastards, and I couldn't go and do it. And when I got to this house, there was a guy in there that just, you know, I was wondering about. I was just about to walk out the door, and he went, hey, Rob, where are you going? Go behind the counter and help the chef wash the dishes. That was one of the times it saved my life. So that was the worst time of my life when I look back. What was the worst of the worst of the worst for you that you said you would never do? Because we keep lowering that bar. Because I don't know, guys, it must be me, but the lower the bar, the better I think the story is.
All right, so I guess we'll go there. Sometimes God just kind of comes in and tells me what we're going to talk about. It wasn't in active use, my lowest moment. So August 16th, it was the last day I've ever put a mind-altering substance in my body. And I was a liar, cheat, and a thief when I was using, and I was a liar, cheat, and a thief when I wasn't using. And so when I was in rehab down in Florida, my parents said, listen, you screwed up this family enough. Don't come back. Just don't. You make a life. They called me big. You go make a life, big boy. You want to make all these decisions. You're not messing this up anymore. And so I met a guy in treatment, and he offered me a job. And I was living at a halfway house. I was just trying to pay rent, and it was a complete scam. The company was a complete scam. And when I got there, they were writing like pencil and paper on like the deals. And I looked at him. I was like, what is this? And he goes, what? I said, why are you writing things on pencil and paper? He's like, what would you do? And I said, oh, well, I'm you know, because I'm so important, I used to develop software. I was like, well, I can create a database that'll keep it organized for you. And lo and behold, at that point, I had no idea what they were doing. I really just didn't know. Somewhere along the way, I realized that everything was a lie, and they were lying to customers. And I went to the owner. I was like, you know that this isn't true what we're doing. And he's like, oh, yeah, but it's buyer beware. We're not doing anything unethical because we send them out this contract. And I was such a liar and a thief that, like, I didn't even know better, even though, like, inside I know I did. And I worked at that company for too long. I finally met a person in recovery, and he asked me, at that point, I was, like, dressing up the outside, right? So the inside was still broken, had done no work on myself, just was not smoking crack. And working at this company that's robbing people. And this guy in one of these fellowships, he says, oh, he's like, you seem to be doing well for yourself so early in recovery. He called me Mr. Fancy Pants. And he's like, Mr. Fancy Pants with that nice car, what do you do for a living? And I told him. He's like, oh, you're a thief. I was like, I'm not a thief. And so he told me that he doesn't work with thieves, and if I wanted to do something with integrity, that I would walk away from that company and actually do something to help someone. And I knew I wanted to get into the field of helping people. And so I left that company, and they were paying me about $8,000 a week. So I was walking away from very significant money. And I took that money and I put myself back into school and became a certified addiction professional and started working as a primary therapist in treatment down in Florida. And I was 5 years sober when the United States government came to talk to me. And they wanted to talk to me about what I was doing in early recovery. And and my wife at the time, she was pregnant, and I found out a lot about the legal system. Now, mind you, that 10, 11, 12 years of active daily use, no legal history, none. There was a female cop that came up to me at a 7-Eleven in Phoenix, and it was my cardboard sign. She goes, I've never seen you here before. If I see you again, I'm going to take you to Tent City. And I didn't even know what Tent City was, but they do outdoor jails out there. So here I am, and I'm looking at this piece of paper, and it says United States of America versus John Thomas Egan. I'm like, this isn't good, right? Because I'd literally done the work, had recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body, was helping people, and literally found my dream job, which was to help people. And here I am facing the consequences of my choices. And so I did 35 months in a prison sober. I had to self-surrender. And what's amazing is the outlook. So I went into prison the freest I'd ever been. And it was the last thing I wanted to do. And I was mad and I was angry. I didn't know why this was happening, because God had such a plan for me. I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of us in prison, and God needed me to carry a message of recovery in there. And I don't know. There was a moment there was a guy in my cell, and he saw me reading this book that I refer to often. It's a secret organization. And he's like, oh, I've read that before. And I was like, oh yeah, what do you think about this? He's like, what are you talking about? And so we started to go line by line through that. And this guy had been like, I'd never seen this before. I never heard of it like this. And I was literally taking him through a process that someone had taken me through for free. And here I was placed in a position to help someone while I'm locked away from everything and everyone I know. There's a reason people do not go to prison, because it's terrible. But also when I got sober, they told me to get honest with my feelings, get in touch with my emotions, and trust men. I don't know if you've been to prison. Those three do not work very well there. You die if you do that. So thank God I had a relationship with this power. I'll just say this power, right? And I walked out freer than ever. I learned so many lessons in there that I can never fully comprehend or explain. It was the greatest experience of my life.
So as you were speaking, John, like one of the things that with me is things just come to me intuitively. And so the people that have a hard time with higher power, have a hard time with God, have a hard time saying Jesus, whatever it is, I'm not going to apologize. But what came to me and this was like, I was imagining Jesus walking around. I'm going to cry. Sharing his word.
For those that struggle with God, like to me, God like talks through other people. And Jennifer, I love the rawness. This is what we do as people in recovery. I was absolutely 100% convinced that there was no God. I was raised Roman Catholic, but because of the choices and the consequences that happened to me, I was so sure that there was no God. I was actually that type of person that would argue with someone and want to like fight them if they talked about God. Because I'd be like, okay, well, if you believe in God, can God make it's a Descartes thing. Can God make a rock too heavy for him to pick up? And it's literally just this like cluster F of your brain trying to comprehend that. And so this guy, God spoke to this guy and he said, okay, so he's like, every time he's like, you don't believe in God. I'm like, no, I don't. He's like, but he's like, do you believe in the tooth fairy? And I said, what? He says, do you believe in the tooth fairy? I said, no. And he goes, well, tell me about the tooth fairy. And I was like, well, I didn't even know where this guy was talking about. And then I'm like, well, the tooth fairy puts a mom puts the mom's the tooth fairy. You put it in on the dollar on the pillow and everyone's so happy. He's like, wow, it's so funny that you're talking about something you absolutely don't believe in, but you're laughing about it. But all of a sudden, when you talk about this other thing you don't believe in, something happens inside. And I was like, oh, right? That was my God moment. Him telling me the fact that I am so angry with this God concept means that there's something there to explore. And that's where this like seeking and searching happened for me. It was like, it just blows my mind that this guy just threw out the tooth fairy and I found God. I don't know how it works.
I know it's really hard out there to carry the message. When I had this spiritual awakening, I was going to 12-step rooms and I was banging on God. I was banging on the big book. I was camping. I was doing all this great stuff. And it was hard, man. I mean, people laughed at me. People, joked. People threatened to beat me up. And I just come off the streets, man. So I'm like 120 pounds. So I'm like almost starved to death. And it was really hard. And it's funny how God equips you, because really quick, when I started to get well, I got back in the gym. And then when I went back to carry the message with all these guys that were laughing at me, the laughs got fewer and fewer as they saw the sign at me. And the guys that threatened to beat me up, you know, I'd cross share and say, you know, if you want to step outside, it's fine with me. Because God gave me all the tools. You know, I used to be I bare knuckle fought on the streets to earn a living and get some money. So, and I used to study karate and boxing. So I'm fully equipped to step outside if you want to. And the laughs stopped. And then all of a sudden they were going, wow, what's that you're talking about in the book? Can I have a look at that? And fewer. I remember talking to a treatment center, Johnny, and well, it wasn't a treatment center, it was a prison. But I got told it was a treatment center. And a friend called me up one day before and said, Rob, we're really stuck. It's about 2 years ago, really stuck. You've got to go and help me. Can you speak at this place? And I'm like, oh, okay, man, just for you, I'll go and do it. So I got a place all barred up, this place. I'm like, wow, this is like a serious treatment center. And I knocked on the door and this guard came all armed up and everything with guns. And I'm like, what is this place? Oh, he said it's a juvenile prison. I'm like, holy, I've never spoken to prison before. Johnny, he walked me to the middle of a room. There must have been 300 people there. Most of them were black guys. Few of them were white and a few Mexican. And they looked mean. And I mean, they scared me, you know, and this was only recently. And he said, okay, thank you, Dr. Rob, bye. And he walks out and as he locked the door. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of this. So all of a sudden, God took over. And I'm like, okay, guys, my name's Rob Kelly and I'm a recovered alcoholic. Yeah, I said it, recovered alcoholic. So if you don't want to hear what's coming from this big book, you better get your ass out of there now. I swear, Johnny, about 20 of them stood up and walked out. And I thought, well, okay, fair enough. And I started to come on. In the next 20 seconds, all of them came back with a big book and sat down. And he was right there and then, and you was carrying the right message. So tell me, what was your best moment while carrying the message, or the best moment in recovery? Because we've talked about the past. Let's get into the solution now. Let's get into what we do this deal. What was your best when you could walk out proud?
My best moment was there was a psychologist in prison that handed me, because I was very, okay, so how do I say this the nicest way? I went in a married man. And also part of my plea deal was that I took the whole thing, right? And so when I went in, my marriage did not last, right? And so I felt betrayed, and I felt dishonored, and I felt angry from choices of someone else, right? Because, you know, we had made this commitment and what have you. And I was 18 months into my sentence when that went down. And so I had another 17 to process that. And a psychologist could see, like, I was trying to live in the solution, but I was so angry and so in my head of all, like, what physically was happening outside while I'm locked in, right? And she handed me this paper, and it's just like how to forgive. And now, mind you, I teach this with clients, but I was in a place to finally listen. And so there was this one thing that said, stop telling the story, right? If you want to learn how to forgive, stop telling the same story that curdles up that resentment. And then it says, if you are going to tell the story, tell it from a new point of view. So what I used to say is, I took a plea deal for a woman, and while I was in prison, she left me for another man, right? And that is technically a true story. However, here's another side true story. Due to me being selfish and making decisions based on my own, I left a woman with an infant by herself. And not because she was looking for it, but she found solace in someone else. And it's like, when I tell that story, I don't carry resentment. I learned, like, my whole perspective changed. And what's amazing is, because that marriage did not work out, it placed me in a position to take care of my father, who was terminally ill after prison, because I would have gone back home, but I didn't have a home to go to. So I went back to the same place that they said, don't ever come back. And I took care of my father for the last 15 months of his life, met my current wife, right? Like, everything happened for a reason. And so what's amazing now is we're all back in the same state. I have a new son, and we all get along. We're actually all going trick-or-treating on Saturday. Me, my wife, my son, my ex-wife, our son, her husband, and her new son. And you know what's really, really cool is that my boy, me and my ex-wife, our son, he grows up knowing that his mommy and daddy like each other, right?
Yeah.
Talk about a valuable, what else would you like to teach your child? How to forgive, right?
And
it's
the two
the
separate
most beautiful thing in the world.
Two separated parents that get on is better than a married couple that are always shouting at each other. Guys, John Egan's on the show, guys. We'll be back after this sponsor, Recover Me Coaching. Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're enjoying this show. My name's Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor. This is Breaking Through Addiction, and obviously my co-host Jennifer Lovely, as usual. John Egan's on the show. Johnny's in the house, and if you've been watching so far, and I know quite a few people are, what a story, guys. I mean, let's get down to the bare facts here of where he was and where he is now, and the stuff that he's been through qualifies him to be my friend. By the way, this is not egoistic, but if you haven't been there and you haven't done it, we got nothing in common, to be honest with you, because you're not getting war stories out of me. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the solution. Let's talk about the amazing things we do. So I stole a couple of minutes of your time, Jen. So I'm gonna let you ask John the next question.
Oh, no worries. I really am moved by your story, but what I'm mostly moved by is the fact that we speak the same language and that we're flipping the script of our story, right? Because actually telling the war stories never gets us anywhere, never, ever. So can you talk to me about what it's like to be a recovered man today, living in your integrity? What does your integrity look like today?
Well, I'll first say I fail all the time because I'm human, right? And so when I used to think that drugs were the problem, and then I realized that me thinking that it's going to be different every time was the problem. And then I had somebody else explain to me that I just have a power problem, right? I don't have the sufficient power to make the decisions for a better life. I am just inherently self-centered. So if I have no power, and then I go through this process to find the power. So essentially, what am I doing to bring God into every decision of my life? And so I might wake up, and so I was actually taught how to pray in recovery. I used to say, God, get me this job, and I hope Sabrina, my wife, I hope she calls me back, and I hope this works out. And then somebody told me that we are human beings, not human doings. So why don't you ask God what you should be that day instead of telling him what you want? And so what's cool is when I get on my knees and I ask God what he'll have me be that day, I can actually pause and listen. So that's where with this concept of meditation. In any relationship, there's talking and listening. So God, what we have me be today, and then I listen for the answers. And since I got sober, it's always something pretty amazing, such as be passionate, be patient, be tolerant, be loving, be giving, all that stuff. And so then I come from my knees. I was taught to pray on my knees. I don't know, so I do it. And so now throughout the day, I have a chance for God to answer my prayers. So traffic, God answers my prayers. God told me to be patient. Traffic allows me to practice patience. I meet someone that bothers me, tolerance, right? So instead of me flipping out and telling him why he's wrong or what a jerk he is, I actually prayed and God told me to be tolerant today. And now this person who is very abrasive to me is just answering my prayers. And so this whole mind shift of every painful moment is a blessing. Every obstacle is an opportunity. That's kind of how I try to welcome God into my life. And like I said, I fail all the time because I am selfish, but I try not to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And awesome as well. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the show, Johnny, and I want to ask you a question before.
Bummer.
I know. I don't know where that 35 minutes has gone. We got a limit of 45, but we've got another 5 minutes left. But we always do 4 minutes at the end. So what's life like today? What's life like doing what you do, having a power in your life, having a marriage that is amazing, having a relationship with your ex-wife that is just amazing? Explain what life's like today.
I'm trying to come up with the words that doesn't sound cheesy in my head.
Cheese is okay.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Everything is beautiful. I walk with confidence today. I have relationships that mean something. Life is, I don't know. I think like recovery is the only high that keeps getting better. Like the deeper I start to understand my purpose in this world, and I always find out that my purpose is literally just to do what God says and to be of service to other people. Like the less of me, more of you concept. It just feels amazing. It's literally the best gig in town. And I'm telling you, like I was always seeking that bell ringer, right? That perfect drunk, that perfect high. And like I got that once, and I was seeking that. But Dr. Rob, we talk about this often. If it's not better today now than it was, well, I would go back to how it was. But it is exponentially better. The fact that I don't wake up and think about what I have to do for money is the greatest blessing in the world, because that's the life I used to live. So it's beautiful, I guess. It's beautiful. Is that the best word I can come up with? Heaven is heaven on earth.
One of the things in coaching that I can distinguish is there's usually two qualities that we can't bring to a room at the same time. For me, it used to be beauty and power. And through my own personal work, I can now bring beauty and power in the same place at the same time. And what I'm really present with you, John, is that you can bring authenticity and power at the same time. And so you're welcome. And so I really want to acknowledge that in you. Not to mention that the sincerity is palpating in you. So I just really want to acknowledge the work that you've done internally, that you dressed up your insides.
Thank you.
So what do you want to leave people with?
If there's a word for it, you're not the only one.
I like that,
It's already been defined. You absolutely are not the only one. And this belief that we're the only sickos to do X, Y, or Z to feed our addiction, or I left the baby in the car and I didn't mean, I just couldn't. Like what's wild is like alcohol and drugs, they tell us that we need this to be what we think we should be. Like I can be a good parent as long as I get right. Right? Yeah. I don't think many of us are sociopaths. Like actually we feel like the drinking and the drugs make us enough to be the better worker, to be the better lover, to be the better father, to be that, like, that's the biggest lie. And we're usually just trying to like drown out the shame of something that we did. And I don't know, I think recovery was, and I don't want to offend anyone because I don't want to take away from the power of it, but recovery was the first Me Too movement. Nothing against this, right? Yeah. Nothing. But like what I did on the streets, when somebody said Me Too, my shame was absolutely reduced in half. Because now I'm like, well, what do I do about it? And then you just follow guides and suggestions of someone that's been there. You know, how do I get out of this hole? Well, let me jump in and show you.
That's amazing, John. I want to thank you first of all for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to it. But I want to say something else, because, and this goes back to when I often tell this story. I was passing the break room, and there was two employees in there, and I had one of them say, "Isn't Dr. Rob amazing? Do you see what he said yesterday? That's absolutely amazing." And the other girl said, "It was. Have you told him?" And she went, "No, he already knows." I want to tell you, Johnny, how much effect you have on us, how much effect you have on me, how much effect you have on the recovery community. And what you do today, it's like a breath of fresh air when we meet and when we see what you're doing. You can see the love, and you can see the passion, you can see the tenacity almost in your eyes to help another addict or alcoholic. And I really want to just value you for that and make sure that you understand, because we never know how good we are. You know, I remember getting a picture of me and a friend many years ago, and we both looked at the picture and it's like, God, see that? My God, those were the days. Look at me and you there. Look how good we looked. Those were the days, weren't they? Today, Johnny's one of those days. Today, Johnny, it's one of those days that we can look back on and go, you know, we had Johnny on the show. It was amazing. So thank you for what you do. I know that you're smiling and laughing and stuff because it's really hard to take compliments, but you really are a powerhouse. You know, empowered people, and you should empower me.
If I could, and I think Jennifer, you have yours, and Dr. Robbie, you have yours, and she's going to kill me because she hates attention. I am nothing without the supports in my life. So like the fact that, you know, I'm finishing up a grad school. I have a full-time career. I have a lot of people in recovery that ask for help. The fact that I have a wife that supports me in every decision I make, that is able to sit with my son and do the homework because this guy needs help down on Boynton Beach and I got to run out right now. I am nothing without my support system. So whoever that is that allows you to be helpful to people in recovery, they are just as important as anyone else. So my friends, my family, my wife, everyone, they are just as integral for what we do as what we do. Does that make sense?
Excellent. John Egan was on the show, guys. We want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and we'll be back after this quick break, guys. Thank you.
God bless.
Guys, welcome back to the show. This is Breaking Through Addiction. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with Jennifer Lovely. Wow. For those guys that are watching, that took my breath away, to be honest with you, and that surprised me because when I met, you've got to meet John, Jen. He's like, I don't know. I was kind of taken back with, he was happy to see us, and he was genuine, and the passion that he has, and you know, and he's also good looking, the pig. Of course, that didn't help because, you know, there's me there getting old and overweight, and there's Johnny looking like a freaking 007 guy. But, you know, I just love that guy because, you know, he's so authentic. He's so real. And there's so many people who are trying to be that in this industry and are failing badly. Is that you come in here, you get to the gritty, you tell it how it is, and people recover. And that's the way it should be. But what a guest.
Yeah, I mean, we can't get, we can't give what we don't, what we don't have in ourselves, right? Exactly. And he has it in himself. He has gone through the pain. He has walked through the fire, and he is out there shining, his big old heart light through the world. And it was a powerful story, and that is how we recover and we stay recovered, is having these conversations. Truly having these conversations.
Yeah, because you can often see somebody, and say, well, he's in the industry. He's kind of had a problem. Well, look at him. I mean, he ain't got any good stories. And then you hear that and you go, holy crap. Validation right there that this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Julia, our guest previously, is the one that used to say to me all the time, Jen, I've never known anybody that Jesus chases more than you. John is one of the people that Jesus also chases, right? God really was knocking on his door. So I love to be broken so that we can actually glow and shine.
I think it's vital sometimes, I mean, if I go to a counselor, the first thing I say is, are you an addict or alcoholic? Have you been there? And if he says no, then I don't think we have anything in common that you can, help me with. So yeah, I love these guests. I love their way to get raw. I just love the way, they're not scared to go there. And it takes some guts to go there most of the times. But yeah, John, I want to get over again. We got another patient probably in Florida. The next couple of weeks, we have to fly over there. So we're definitely going to meet up for them. It's a friends for life. He's in my top 3 of friends, and I only have 3. So he's right up there, with lifelong friends, because I just adore the guy. I really do. Amazing.
Well, I know we're in COVID, so we need to all take some COVID tests and then get together and really have a gathering so that we can actually know each other in person, so that we can, have that deeper connection that we, all want.
A reunion of all the guests.
Yeah,
that's what we should get, and I can fund it. I've got $20 in the bank. I can get us to McDonald's for free of charge. Hey, we can go large. We can go. It don't make a difference. Just give me an extra.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Perfect.
This has been Breaking Through Addiction. I'm Dr. Roll, along with Jennifer Love. I want to thank you for joining us today, guys. and it's been a great show. So
It
don't
has.
forget, I'm not sure when it is. I'm going to do a few during the week, I think, but definitely every Wednesday. So for me, guys, I want to say thank you so much. And Jennifer will say,
thank you so much. And next week, we have another Monday. I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, another full early week of being recovered, what it is. We actually on Monday have a guest who used to have a comedic show on A&E, Mark Lundgren, and he's going to talk to us about some more deeper recovery stuff. So I'm excited.
yeah, me too. Guys, remember, this is going places. This will be a syndicated show soon because the world needs to hear not only me and Jen, because we're freaking awesome, but also guests that we're bringing on that get real, because that's what's missing in the world today is people being vulnerable so other people can recover, and we're out loud, guys. Me and Jen, we don't pull any punches. We're not anonymous. No. We value your anonymity. So until next time, guys, have a fantastic day. Do something good today for somebody. And do me a favor today, guys. Compliment 3 people. You never know the effect it has. Bye, guys.
Bye.